BLP, the one and only BLP. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
How many nationals have you been to?
You mean as in the crowd, just as a fan, since I think 2009?
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And was that in? No, that was not in Laval. I made it the first time in Laval. It was 2012.
Yeah, with the Ben Pakuski there. I think that was my favorite national actually. It was a freaking everyone was awesome. It's the one that really kind of. I don't know if it was because Pakuski, but everyone I think was very fairly conditioned. It's the best national so far.
So tell the fans here, why, look at the camera, why do they call you BLP? Why is your name BLP?
Well, BLP, it was a moniker, kind of nickname created by Carl Lenore, you know, the superhuman radio, because we did back then, it was the off-topic radio out of RX, where I was a guest, where I was very sensationalistic and very, you know, extreme, colorful. It's because, you know, as a philosopher, as a thinker in the bodybuilding industry, I thought it was more approachable to play the clown instead of approaching like overly deep approach on bodybuilding, because bodybuilding for me it's not about result, it's about the odyssey, the adventure of it. It's very demanding in terms of, you know, neural health, emotional health, and you know, we're playing with the extreme, and you know, BLP has never truly given genetics. You know, I was almost autistic in some ways. I felt very disconnected from people, from my body, from my ground proprioception. My vision was off, my jaw was off, and by postural G, I healed myself and I healed my structure, and I could optimize sensory integration. And there's not many people that went through that journey of pushing and try to decipher what was actually lacking and missing. And you see this this statement often in younger bodybuilder that kind of don't have it, right? So my point of view was to reach not the professional or gifted, but not the average Joe that tried to be a bodybuilder and kind of halfway fail but succeed. So, you know, of course, with the trend of functional medicine, hormonal balancing, peptide being legal, it was easy to build health and awareness, because I think that a person like me that went to extreme party abuse, self-destructive, to now find, you know, cognitive health, it was a beautiful transition. So I think as a coach, because now I'm playing the coach game, I can extrapolate all dimension of what's right and what's wrong, because I had living it, not just you know, just conceptualize. I really had lived. I've been at contests with injury, you know, so that give me a good prognostic and perception on rehab, mobility, and emotional layer, because whatever you may think, if the well-being is not there, nothing is going to happen. So, of course, the postural system is very important, because most of people, they don't know, but in the breastfeeding, you practice left, right, saccadic eyes, and those eyes made you how you stand today, how your shoulder behave. So if you train and you do side raise and you have one shoulder like this, like that, well, you have to do eye coordination, because that modulates horizon. So we in 2015, we have to think not genetics, we have to think brain proprioception leads the muscular hormonal system. Muscle is slave of central nervous system. Central nervous system is slave of proprioception. You control the brain, you optimize symmetry. And you know, not many people might care, but bodybuilding is the only sport that you go on stage naked, sell your symmetry. So instead of waiting that genetic has it, well, you can optimize it. You know?
How important is sleep when it comes to the last 48 hours before you step on stage for bodybuilding? Because a lot of the bodybuilders take a lot of stimulants and they can't sleep. Does that affect your water retention?
Yes, of course, in terms of cortisol. I think that when it comes to sleep, you have to nourish the stomach from 20 weeks out, you know, because the thing is, of course, the brain helps how you stand, blah blah blah, but in terms of gut CNS axis, you have to understand that most hormone, TSH, dopamine, whatever, it's made in the stomach. So you need probiotic, you need probiotic, you need digestive enzyme, because you're not what you eat, you are what you absorb in terms of nutrient assimilation is what you are. So if you focus on stomach health, then cortisol will be in better control. And the thing is, our generation were very scared of progesterone. Progesterone is legal. Progesterone will lower cortisol, will lower estrogen. And I think today you need, if you want to be an ultimate bodybuilder, you need organic food, you need filtered water, because there's a lot of estrogen in the environment. We kind of lost the, you know, especially in Montreal, we have very high lead content. So if you're a bodybuilder and you kind of toxic yourself, you cannot have toxic water. So reverse UV light water, that will change a lot of, because imagine if you're putting lead while you're in a cycle, that stress the body, right? And you know, most of my generation, they have mercury implant in their tooth, and that goes in the in the blood, and it plays with the endocrine system, plays on the nervous system. So the people that usually can sleep is because, we'll go back to breastfeeding, because I'm a big breastfeeding fan, is you pull the milk with your tongue, which built a proper jaw. Or you eat meat and you build a proper jaw. But now there's no breastfeeding and they give you soft food. So how you can build a jaw? So your jaw is like this. The cranium is static, the jaw moves. If the jaw is altered, when you will push, your mechanic will be asymmetrical. It will change tongue behavior. You following me? If you think tongue behavior, the way you breathe will not be brain nose oxygenation, will be shallow breathing, will be diaphragm compression. That will be hard to fall asleep because the jaw is correlated to masseter. Masseter is TMJ. TMJ is what? You cannot contract TMJ without being stressed or whatsoever. So if you sleep with a mouthpiece and if you think gut CNS axis health, there's no way you can fail.
Amazing. What do you think about the rumors now that all of the best athletes are coming out of the Middle East, and what is responsible for that hard, dense look that the Middle East bodybuilders are seeming to get right now?
It's because in Middle East they breastfed for 4 years.
Okay.
So in the breastfeeding, you receive a lot of antivirus, the good microbiome, you know, because if you look at human history is an male. Bacteria were here. Bacteria evolved, and your stomach and yourself and your human cells, you're halfway bacteria. And microbiome does the rain, does, you know, the environment whatsoever. So what I want to say by that is, by breastfeeding, the parents, the mom, give a perfect, better lymphatic system of immunity and growth. And the thing is, the parents, they don't know, but the mom, in her coherence, you know, the brain and heart coherence, build the brain development of the baby, which was, you know, all the entire synaptic, you know, neurotransmitter health whatsoever. If your mom is stressed and is scared and under pressure, she's never home, she has to work, abusive dad, whatever, you know, in Middle East, they have this kind of, especially in India, they have this very respected bioenergy of kids. They will talk to the baby, they will do, you know, here it's just the weird people that do prenatal yoga exercise, and they're almost like being judged, but what they're doing is actually very good. So if you if you have a baby, it's very important to work the grip, because the grip, if you go like this and like this is more oxygen. If you breathe like this, and if you breathe like this, you'll feel the oxygen go deeper, because in grip, it's vitamin D receptor, and a baby knows what from life, it can grip from day one. And grip builds forearms and arms. So if you have a baby and you practice the grip in terms of palmar reflex, well, you have better ulnar nerve. Because if you come here and we do this axis, and then you just like this, hold it tight, hold it tight. You see? You see, this is ulnar nerve weakness. It's not that bad, maybe 7 out of 10, right?
So are you saying that if you want to if you're a bodybuilder out there and you're looking to have your kid become a huge bodybuilder like yourself, you got to start them at a young age doing grip work?
You have to start from grip work. You have to put no boots. He has to sleep almost on the floor. He has to do. He has to grow in an environment that's been respected, stimulated. Maybe not sit on a chair. Go outside, find his body, connect to nature. All this very organic, almost holistic approach. But the thing is, it pays very well, because if you put a cell phone on someone, put a bodybuilder, look at his symmetry, put the cell phone in his pocket, then look back at symmetry. It will bend like this. And now they're just living with their cell phone. They even train with it. So I think that people had lost confidence and trust in the evolution of men. People, they say, "Oh, I need a belt. I need a shoes that will hold my ankle." Well, we live in a world of altruism. I'll say, in terms of evolutionary perspective, it's the strongest that survive. How human will exist today if her ankle wasn't right? So I think that's actually the modern lifestyle that took out the chance of.
I'm trying to find the video, that crazy video of you wearing the crazy outfits, and look at that one. At the beginning,
I did many.
It's got music on it.
There's one.
Crush the ephedrine up on the table.
Yeah, that's called BLP training.
BLP training on YouTube.
Training. I think it hits about 22,000 by now. Yeah, I wanted to, because that was a national promotion. I wanted to do something very wild, very colorful, very different. And something that people just remember. It's not about shocking. It's just about not being forgotten. That was my goal. Yeah.
Amazing. And so are you saying that breast milk in bodybuilding is actually something that's anabolic? Because that's a new movement that we're seeing in the new issue of Muscle Insider. Don Goler actually covers this, is the use of breast milk in bodybuilding.
Yes.
What's your opinion on that?
I think it's a lot of commitment, but if parents could read at least 3 years, you have optimal development of gut and health. And you have to think also reflexes integration. Most of the kids today are very disconnected, because when we go in school, we learn about mathematics and rational science and critical thinking. Well, they don't tell us how to take care of our babies. You have to see almost, and even pediatric, they're very minimalistic. They say, "Oh, baby don't need exercise," but you're actually learning by movement. So you have to go by brain gym. You have to go occupational therapy in sensory integration. So you almost have to go private, which is very sad, in some ways, because that's not everyone has that kind of budget, right?
Yeah. Now, you've been criticized a lot because you're very outspoken with some of the things that the pros get up to. What is your feedback to the people who've had a problem with how hardcore BLP is and how honest you are?
Well, that's kind of a portrait of the past, because you have to think that today with this kind of over excessive information, there's not that much you can learn from steroids anymore. I was one of the first to kind of proclaim, I'm using a bit too much, but I'm not quite a great responder. I have to kind of suffer to handle the game, and I think that I think that it was a wild perspective, but many people could relate it to it. Maybe not pro, pro don't need that much. Like I said, everything comes like a natural mechanism, but it's not who I was catered. I was catered to the average Joe that kind of push the limits because, most bodybuilders, they start in bodybuilding by insecurity. They want to be a monster because they feel small. And as you train, and you've been training for 12 years, eventually you're not a monster, but you're much bigger, and you cross that line of self-esteem and humility. So I think for me it was just to be an open book and to be what's the word? Yeah, to not have any hidden secret, because I had the chance to have a very good life, so I didn't have to follow any restriction or rules or boundaries or what people's gonna think about me. And being in Canada, we're very flexible towards steroids. It's not like it's incredibly bad. Here they're more about against recreational drugs, but it was for me, it was a beautiful, honest outcome for whatever it's worth. Some read, some had laughs, some didn't dislike it, some related to it. I had people that following me all over the world since 2007. I'm actually very popular in Brazil, in Portugal. More than in Quebec.
Amazing. Well, thanks very much for taking some time with us, BLP.
Thank you, man. Hope you learned something.
Love your honesty. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hey, how's it going, man?
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah. Oh my God.